audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. Oh, let me turn the music down there. Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Thursday, December the 28th, 2023. My name is Cliff. I'm joined by Aaron Armageddon by the Bill Gates space magic of Skype. He's reaching out to me from across the way, several hundred miles away, but no distance is too far today, because we have the means of technology. We have the ability to reach out across the whole world and talk to one another in an open forum on X and on YouTube. So I suggest you follow us there and Rumble as well. We live stream there every Thursday and Sunday at 10 p.m. Thursdays are more of a news and current events roundup kind of deal. So Sunday we get into a big topic. It could be philosophical, could be political, could be a conspiracy theory. We have a lot of fun on those Sunday shows, and we kind of maybe look at some of the deeper parts of some of these things that we see in the news every day. So with that said, thank you for joining us. We got a little bit of a like I said, a news and current events roundup tonight, so we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But first and foremost, how's it going, Aaron? How's your Christmas?
It was good, man. How was you and your families?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah.
I took my daughter and some of her friends skating last night at the speedway at the ice rink. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I haven't skated in forever, man. I used to go. I've been to this. They used to have it in the middle of the speedway and lights. You could get out in the middle of Bristol Motor Speedway and skate there, but you didn't get to skate very long. It was a pretty small little area, and so now they've got a great big. I wouldn't say great big, but a good sized rink. It's in a tent, and it looks like the ice is about 2 feet deep on it, and they, break out the Zamboni and smooth it over and every now and again, and it's pretty fun. Crappy, dull skates, so you can only skate so well, but it was still fun.
Yeah, they've got one up in the old square in Knoxville. I was up there the other day, and they had this, like you're talking about, this, what is this called, the Zambino or something?
Yeah, the Zamboni.
Zamboni, yeah, they had it out there. It's like an outdoors one.
Yeah, this is like a tent. It's basically outdoors, and it has a tent over it. But it was a lot of fun.
Like in the front parking lot, right in front of the Bristol Baby sign or whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to go in anymore. You can just pull it and go skating without having to go in and see the lights. But I haven't skated, man, since, like I said, I'd tried it one time and then. And I used to go over to the YMCA in Banner Elk when I was a teenager and play hockey over there. I was never very good, but it was fun, and you could skate really fast with that big old open skating rink, and some hockey skates, even though I'm sure they were crappy. They were rental hockey skates, but they didn't have those. They didn't have those serrations on the front of the skates. I hate those things, man. I guess they're to help you stop or whatever, but I always just kind of slid sideways.
On the front, so you
yeah.
Forward to stop.
Yeah. I don't like that because it makes me want to fall. I like to get down low and skate and stuff, and it was especially as I started getting tired, it started making me want to dig my front of my skates in.
That's risky ankle.
Yeah, and I'm not the age I used to be. I went down a couple times because people skated over in front of me, and I didn't want to collide into a little kid or something. And it was like, I'm not a good enough skater to really evade it at speed, so I tried, and then I ended up going down because I was like, I'd rather go down than run into some kid.
Yeah,
but didn't hit the ice too hard any of the time, so it wasn't too bad. What's up? Say hello in the chat. Who we got with us here? We got Dalton. What's up, Joe? Y'all, thanks for joining us in the chat. Howdy, hey. No headlights in the dark. Immediately pulled over by a cop. I see people all the time here in Elizabeth, and they'll just go right by the cops. No headlights on them. They don't even bother. Like, one headlight, you might as well forget it. Like, no headlights, it's a 50-50 shot in Elizabeth, and you might get pulled over. Usually,
I
though,
see it so much on the parkway, and like probably like 1 out of 5 people are like just trash house hammered, up here, on the strip.
oh yeah,
And I'll see them all the time. I'll try to like tell them and flash my lights and stuff, and they're just like, yeah, what do you do? I'm like, okay, you're fixing to get pulled
start
over.
flipping you off and blowing the horn at
Yeah,
you.
like Dalton said, and then they'll keep going. And I know where the cops sit up here. They sit like spaced out, like every so many feet. They're like in a median. I was like, yep, it's only a matter of time. Just like he was saying, I saw a dude that was pulled over like that. It's like, man, I even tried to get you to friggin' turn your headlights on, and that's what happens.
Hell, man, a lot of those cars won't even turn them off. Aaron and I, as a matter of fact, we had this crazy night at the gas station where this chick, she came up behind us in a S10, and as soon as she pulled up the gas pump, the truck died, and we had to jump her off.
Blazer?
Oh, whichever it was. Yeah, I don't know which one
I
it
can't
was.
remember. It was a Blazer S10.
It was a 4-door Chevy truck of some sort, but yeah, it was the battery was completely dead, so we jumped her off. She had to keep giving it gas and rev it up so it would run on the alternator, and we had to coach her into keeping it revved and just flipping it between neutral and drive to get it. But she got it on the road and made it to the parts store, I reckon.
She did, dude. She floored it too, man. You could hear the engine winding. You could hear that RPM. She's making sure that thing didn't break down.
Yeah.
And luckily, she did what we told her to, and luckily she got there. So.
But it was so the problem was it was dark. So that Chevy, it was like a 2000 probably model Chevy. As soon as she tried to start it, the headlights would come on, so it would drain what little bit of charge it could get. So the truck was having a real hard time running, and finally she managed to keep it running, and got the headlights turned off. But yeah, my wife's car is the same way. It's a Chevy, and it won't. If it's nighttime and you turn the car on, the headlights are on. You can't turn them off. Right by the schools where the spots, you definitely don't want to go by there. There's always cops around the school.
Well, that's one way to make sure you don't drive with your headlights off.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
I was sitting one night. I was sitting in downtown Johnson City, and I was sitting there in the car, and I didn't want to be sitting there with the headlights on because people were walking by and stuff. I don't want to be blasting them in the face with the headlight beams. So I turned the headlights off, and my car had automatic headlights too. It would let you manually turn them off, but I always just kept it on auto. And when I pulled out, I forgot that I had turned them all the way off. And I got pulled over. And this cop kept trying to get me. He was like, "Yeah, no, you've been drinking." I said, "I've not been drinking a drop." I said, "I was a designated driver tonight." And
as a matter of fact, sir, I'm not.
Well, he kept trying to get me to admit to it, and I think there's something to that. Like if you admit to it, it seems like you have to admit to it. Because I've been with guys when I was a lot younger who were obviously soused to the gills, but they would not admit to having drank anything, and the cops never would, make them do it. I even saw them fail a sobriety test, but they, stuck to their guns that they had not had anything to drink, and they didn't end up going to jail. And I saw that happen on more than one occasion when I was younger. But yeah, the ones that are in Johnson City, he was bound and determined he was, going to get him a drunk driver because I'd forgot to turn my headlights on, which I understand. I forgot to turn my headlights on, pull me over, but I'd obviously not been drinking anyway. But the main story now that we got y'all in the room now, just kick your feet up and get cozy and pour yourself a beverage and light yourself a smoke, whatever it is you do to help you relax this evening. We're going to get into a little bit of an infuriating topic for some people, and it's rightfully so. If you believe in having a nation of any sort, right? I mean, there's people who are open borders, but if you're going to have a nation, even if you have pretty unrestricted immigration, you still have to have a border that you can guard and protect. That way, if an invading force tries to come through your border, you have a force of your own there to stop them. I mean, this is pretty basic nation state. This is
yeah, and then like Canada, they're like, so they talk out of both sides of their mouth because they have one of those like secure borders on Earth. Like the northern border, America's northern border is way more secure than the southern border.
But it's still bad, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. But like even just try even going through there with a pocket knife. Yeah, I think like if you've had a DUI, you can't even visit Canada.
Yep.
Like they'll deny your shit. They'll be
You'll have a lot harder time getting into Canada. I mean, of course, you can go through. I mean, the checkpoints are actually much more strict in a lot of cases up there, but you can obviously go around a checkpoint.
But Justin Trudeau's all like, you know what I'm saying, and it's just funny though because he says one thing and they do another.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that South Park really nailed it with their Canadians with the flapping heads.
Yeah, it was Ike. Kick the baby.
Yeah, that's right. Ike was half Canadian, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Arizona hard tea. I did not know that was a thing, Dalton. I thought it was a meme. I thought somebody had made it up as something that they would like to see, but that sounds all right. I like a hard Arnold Palmer from time to time, if it's outdoor hot weather. No one sneaks into America from Canada. Oh yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Dude, there's all kinds of drug trafficking over the Canadian border.
I heard that too, but I heard it's like up towards the, believe it or not, it's like up towards the Maine side.
It's like, both, man. I mean, especially.
I'm sure it is.
Seattle and all that area over there, and Tacoma area, that area in Washington, Oregon, Idaho. A lot of that stuff's just really abandoned. A lot of people can come right through there.
Opiates tend to go to towards that direction in Washington. Like Seattle's known for heroin and stuff. So they're like, if they're gonna do that, and they would probably, well, from what I've gathered from it, it is the Chinese government. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It's just the Chinese are the ones who are delivering it, and then the Mexican cartels or whoever is distributing.
Well, I mean, you can say it's maybe not the Chinese government, but the way that China has a really unique structure. Well, I don't know if it's really unique. Actually, it's but I guess among superpowers.
Yeah, I didn't mean that. I shouldn't even say that. We've already probably violated this.
Hey, no, it's all right because we're going to go ahead and say that in order to be.
But I retracted that statement though. I did retract it.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and retract your retraction because I'm going to say that the Chinese Communist government actually has an arrangement. I mean, they're not like a total communist government. They're more of a hybrid communist and free market. So basically, you can only go out and be a billionaire within China. You can be independently wealthy, but everything that you do has to serve the Chinese Communist Party. So it's not an illicit. It's not an anything, but basically what it comes down to is anything that a Chinese company does, especially abroad, you can assume it's done with the blessing, at least at the minimum, of the Chinese government, because they have a charter to basically help the Chinese Communist Party.
I saw this. I was reading about this. In certain parts of China, it's legal to manufacture fentanyl in your home, like you can make it. Apparently, but it's illegal to use it yourself. Mm-hmm. It's only legal to manufacture fentanyl if you're shipping it to the U.S.
Oh, I hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Look it up, man. It was legit. So basically, it was okay to make it as long as you weren't using it or selling it in your own community. You see what I'm saying? It had to be getting exported out, basically. Right. But I had read some stuff about some stuff like that, and.
Right, Dalton, North Dakota. I mean, what are they got Mounties up there along the border? I don't think so. I mean, they probably should.
Oh, but, yeah, when I hear a bunch of banging outside, I'm like, they're
after you.
As soon as I started talking about the Chinese, I was like, oh shit, I've been hearing something outside. It was like a loud bang too. I was like, oh, done messed up, man.
Well, I mean, fentanyl is what the number one cause of death for people like Gen X and younger right now, isn't it? Hasn't been for the past several years.
It's slaughtered way more people than the vaccines and the thingy thing, combined, way more than any of that.
Yeah,
it's tragic, dude. It's affected, but it's not even the fentanyl. This has been an issue for America long before fentanyl came along with opiates. Because they look what the big pharma did. I mean, I can't even count on my hands and toes more people I know that died specifically from.
Well, in 2022, we had 70 and
all through the 20s. like half of my graduating class is like, golly, you know, what I mean, it was like, you know, it's just like I've got, you know, people have buried because of it, and like it's personally affected my life deeply, and I think it has everybody, you know? Like,
Okay, so according to this is the CDC, um, they're saying the 2022 data shows that there were 107,000 total drug overdose deaths in the United States involved synthetic opioids other than methadone, principally illicitly manufactured fentanyls, xylazine. So it said that most 2/3 of the drug overdoses other than methadone are and legal fentanyl were illicit fentanyl containing xylazine, which is a non-opioid sedative not approved for human use. And this is some of that they were seeing coming out of illicit stuff that people are claiming is coming out of China, because there is a legitimate medical use for fentanyl, and
yeah, it was like in patches, you know, like I'm pretty sure, I guess, for a long time that's what they use it for, you know. But shoot, man, they knew what they were doing, you know, and it's just like, you know, did you see where Tucker Carlson interviewed that douchey kid that sold that Wu-Tang album? You know, it was like the world's most like valuable record ever.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, but he that guy, I can't remember his name. He's a total shady creep, and they were questioning him about why he raised the prices for like all this like crucial medicine, and he just was like smirking and laughing about it. And I saw like a few days ago, Tucker Carlson had him on there and was talking to him, like, and the guy was trying to act like, you know, he wasn't, like, he was bragging that he trolled the courts. It's like, dude, you killed God knows how many people by jacking up the prices on this like, crucial medicine. You see what I'm saying? Like, why would you bring someone on and glorify them like that?
I think you missed the point of him having him on there, in that they were still giving the people who couldn't afford it. That was the whole thing. I think Tucker had him on there, was to show him that they were actually, for people who couldn't afford it, they were still giving it to him. It was just they were changing the way that they were coding it on insurance, and you were still able to get like a certain amount for free if you weren't able to afford it. But the media went after the pharma bro Martin Shkreli for a lot of stuff. But
he was like that figurehead.
There's a lot more that meets the eye to that guy. Definitely check out some podcast interviews with that and have a listen to him with the idea that, you know, remember, the media goes after and the courts go after a lot of times people on our side. So I'm not sure if he was 100% on our side, but I don't. If you listen to him and hear him out, he's definitely not the monster that they make him out to be. You know, so yeah, check it out, Martin Shkreli.
He was trying to be like a Trump kind of like aggressive businessman. You know, one shows ruthlessness. His issue was that's not the health of the the public is not an issue that like you can be it's not, you're not selling golf clubs. Man. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like this is like life saving. Like this is different.
Yeah, he could definitely have benefited from that advice for sure. Let's see, Dalton. I read you loud and clear, brother. Everybody, look at Dalton's chat. He's the last chat there about a neighbor of his that he hadn't seen in years, who went paralyzed for a few weeks and had to relearn to walk and thought he was going to die. Lost a lot of weight and confusion, forgetting a lot of things from a certain medical treatment that shall not be named. Yeah, I've had, including viewers of the channel, people reach out to me. I knew a guy, he was in a trade that it was a good paying trade. He owned his own business, and he was doing commercial and residential installs of big systems that, you know, cost a lot of money to install, and he was making good money doing it. And he had that medical treatment also, and he won't do it now because he doesn't trust himself, because the kind of things that has to, you know, work with are dangerous. And he's doing other things to make income because he doesn't trust himself after having had that. I know, you know, I'd say a good between 20 and 30% of people I know who had that medical treatment had some sort of negative effect from it. I know plenty of people that didn't have anything from it, or at least they say they didn't, or didn't notice anything. But you also never know really how long something like that takes to have an effect when there's never been a long-term study on a certain experimental medical treatment that was introduced that shall not be named. But thanks
Yeah,
for
it's
that,
like
Dalton.
don't even say it. That thing we shall not speak of.
Yeah. Which we all know, but we don't want to trip that censor on YouTube. Luckily, there's a platform called
Yeah,
X out there, or Twitter formerly, that you can follow us
it's like
on.
we ain't scared to say it. It's just we're smarter than that. It's like
Yeah.
if it needs to be said, then
Yeah, you know what we're
it'll get
saying.
said.
If you can't figure it out, uh, whatever. But
Yeah.
we're trying to reach a lot of people out here, and most people's preferred platform is YouTube. So basically,
It's like playing chess.
yeah, and we got to recognize a lot of our viewers or the people we're trying to reach are, again, one of the main purposes of this channel is to help people realize that all these things that we see on, whether it be Infowars or whatever, you name it, your national independent media source, a lot of these things that they put out there are happening on your local level. And you think, oh, well, because Alex Jones is talking about this thing going to play in Houston, or this going to, in San Diego, that's what's the news. People are talking about San Francisco. People are talking about Chicago. But a lot of these agendas, as we've shown over and over again on this channel, are being implemented on your local level under the smart city agenda in particular, because as we showed on this channel, we have 2015 documents from the Obama administration for the funding of the smart cities, where they were talking about the whole reason they wanted to do it is because this is how they get the federal government into every aspect of our daily lives on our local governments. Is they fund the smart cities, they give the cities the infrastructure to be able to be high-tech, modern cities, and in return, they have an end to every level of how that city operates and county operates. So that's
shiny thing to people. Like, oh, I want to do that. It's like nothing's free. Ain't nothing in this world free, and everything's gonna come with a cost. And unfortunately, that's gonna be a heavy cost.
Well, it's just like with social media. If something's free, then you are the product. And in most cases, you're the product, say for YouTube, through advertising and algorithms, and they keep your data, and they know, that's how they use that, is basically to
marketing.
Yeah.
About the dollar, which is not hard to believe. But
well,
they also have agendas and things they don't want you to talk about.
Yep. And that's right, and that's one of the reasons that Musk bought X. At least that's what he says. But he's making good on a lot of his promises to make X the free speech platform, and I really appreciate that. And that's one of the reasons that you actually pay for X if you want. I mean, if you want to pay for X, you can have. It takes a lot of the advertising out. It allows you the ability to post live content. So basically, you're buying a product from them. You're not trading all your internet data to them for.
Well, Cliff, we got to finish the gas station story, man. We can't let that slip up, man. We only got halfway through that story. Remember?
Oh, the guy that walked up on him. Oh yeah, dude, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, but you're just, it was crazy. It was people coming out of it from everywhere. They're like, get the heck out of here for something else crazy happened.
Yeah, this dude. I was trying to fill up the tire because we had about a 2-hour ride on I-40. So I was filling up the tire to head that way, and the air machine was broken, so I pulled out my little compressor from the car, and whenever I was filling it up, this dude just comes up to me. I could tell he was going to talk to me, and I could tell he was going to ask me for something. Now, he's just a shady looking dude, and I kind of.
He was on like angel dust or something.
I don't know,
that
man.
guy was in outer space. He didn't know where he was at.
I saw him coming up behind me, and I started turning. Before I saw him, I sensed him coming up behind me. It was super dark where we were, but I could tell somebody was coming up behind me, and I started turning after he was probably about 20 feet away from me, and I turned my side to him, and had my hand in my pocket, if you know what I mean, and kind of he kept walking on around. Then he said hello to me. I said, "Hey, man," and he said, "Are you having a good life?" I said, "I'm having a great life."
He was on that crocodile, man.
Yeah, but he goes, he says, "Do you have a phone I can use?" I was like, "No, man." I was like, "I've already I've been at this gas station for long enough. I'm getting out of here, man." I said, "Sorry, I can't help you." And he said, "Well, do y'all know anybody around here that might be able to help. I said, I'd go.
Dude.
I don't know, man.
And
I don't know anybody here.
You know something? You should not feel bad for not letting that guy use your phone. And
I didn't feel bad at all.
Oh no! Well, I had a guy one time. Me and my buddy Terry were walking to the gas station, and we had a guy. This guy like hopped out of the bushes, and you could hear like police sirens and like fire, emergency services and stuff. He's like, "Hey man, can I use your phone?" And I was like, "No, man, I ain't got a minutes on it." I lied. I was like, "No." And then he looked at my buddy and asked him. He was just like, "No." He just like, you know what I mean? Like he didn't give him no excuse. He just was like, "No."
Well, the craziest thing though, that guy
had just killed.
He what?
That guy had just killed someone. He had just killed somebody.
Oh, no shit.
If we had let him use the phone, then my phone would have been part of that evidence and would have been the murder case.
Wow.
But yeah, because I told him no, he walked to the hotel up the road on South Rome, and he tried to use their phone. Well, the police got him there. He had stabbed a guy in the back and left him laying dead. One of my neighbors. The guy was like dead in the back, in the front yard with a knife in his back on Chestnut. But yeah, we was like, nah, man. We didn't let him use the phone, but I just wanted to. That was a crazy story, man. Like I'll never forget that night.
Well, I'm sure you were reminded of it when that guy came up to us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep, sure did. And like I said, if I had to, like you said, there's energy and vibes certain people give off. Like the lady we know that lady needed help. Like we could tell, but that guy was just like, nah, he had like different vibes, man. Like.
Yeah, he
shady.
When I told him I didn't know anybody around there that had a phone he might use, he just looked at us and he was like, "Well, what should I do?" I said, "I would go ask inside, man. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night. Good luck."
Like you should drink some water. Is what you should probably do.
I think so. I'd say you're right. Oh shit! But yeah, back on the illegal immigration, I have this post here from. Let's see if I can make this work right where you can actually see, and then on the same screen as me and Aaron here. It's easy to do with everybody in studio. It's a little tougher on Skype.
Cat. Sorry, I can't tell if that's my cat or somebody trying to come up my steps.
Uh-oh.
That was just my cat. I think she's trying to. I don't know what she's doing and messing with something.
Well, I've got this post here from oh shit, you know what I didn't do? I didn't make me a hotkey to activate this display capture, so I'm just gonna have to do it this way. Sorry folks. So I got this post here from Tennessee Conservative News. The Tennessee GOP leadership insists that illegal immigration in Tennessee is a federal issue and nothing can be done legislatively at the state level to prevent or reduce it. Do you agree with this? Tell us why or not in the section below. And we got some comments here that we'll go through and check some of these out. So for me, the Tennessee leadership, they say that illegal immigration in Tennessee is a federal issue. Okay, maybe constitutionally it is a federal issue for the government to protect the border. But doesn't Tennessee have a border too? I mean, even if they had to amend the Constitution, doesn't seem like they could do something to stop from being overwhelmed. Now, myself personally, I'm all for, if we've got industry growing and we need people to come in and fill jobs and things like this, I'm all for, them letting people come in from the country, whether it's to be citizens or work on a visa or whatever. But it's totally different when you have, and even refugees, that's one thing, but it's totally different when you just have mass people coming over here looking for work, and not only do they get work, but they are getting a hotel room. They're getting, according to some reports, they're getting a $5,000 Visa prepaid gift card from the United Nations that, they're able to take anywhere. They're getting $2,200 a month in benefits, and they're getting free hotel rooms in many cities. So this is becoming a burden that really can no longer be ignored. I think we had over 250,000. I think they broke a record for the amount of people crossing the southern border illegally last month, and I think it was like 278,000 or something like that. And
probably already been broke again.
Well, yeah, that was if you remember, there was the clips of, I'm sure, down in Central America and South America, the people are sending are seeing the clips from Biden's campaign speeches where he was saying like "surge the border," So I'm sure they've been passing those around. But they did. You know who they did deport? Venezuelan refugees who were, fleeing the socialist government there, who might vote, against Biden. They did deport those guys, but they're letting all the Central
from communist countries, man.
Well,
like Cubans are not down with communism either, dude. I've known a lot of Cuban people, and they're not down with that. They don't like that.
Well, the people leaving Venezuela aren't either. I mean,
most of them are not down with that. They don't want communism.
But
they survived. They left it. They had to flee.
Right. Well, in addition to folks coming over from Central and South America, one of the main issues that I see as a problem is refugees, are coming in from Central and South America. They want work. That's always been the case. I don't fault any of these people for wanting to have a better lives for themselves, especially when the Biden administration basically has told them to come on over, and they've got, people giving them money. Of course, I'm sure they have to give a lot of that money over to the coyotes, and you're funding a lot of, illegal human trafficking and cartel. But you've also, you've got all over the country, if you've seen the maps of the illegal immigrant flights, they are going everywhere. They're flying them in all over the country in the middle of the night. You've even got New York City, who is a sanctuary city, saying, stop, we can't take anymore. And remember, as soon as they said that, it wasn't long right after that, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, who was a darling of, the mainstream media and the Democrats, he was hit up with some corruption charge saying he accepted money from a foreign government or something like that.
Because here's the deal.
I guarantee they wouldn't have done that.
Well, you can't skim money off the top of, if you don't have enough to even keep your infrastructure up from all the influx of new citizens and people that you brought in. These people have to be fed, housed, clothed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Medically treated, and that's all done with tax dollars. But if you're a politician, it's a bad time to be a politician up there in any sanctuary city because you don't have enough resources to handle what you've already got. So therefore, there's no room for you to be a crook. Which is why a lot of them get in.
Yep.
Let's be real.
Well, and when they do that,
to get their
and when they do something like that, it can be used against them anytime. So they'll let you accept that foreign donation money. And they won't do anything about it until you cross them. And, they may have even come at him and said, hey, listen, man, because that's the way we've talked about with the honeypots. They might come up to you before a big vote and say, hey, I know you're about to vote on that, but why don't you take a look at these pictures? And then it's, the legislator engaged in some illicit behavior that he wouldn't want his constituents to know about. So he goes and says he has a change of heart and votes, and it happens over and over again. We have the same thing here.
Playing old cornhole.
Yeah, and the thing is, they had those photos long ago, right? So as soon as they catch that legislator, whether it be they might, you're duly elected to Washington, and they come up to you and they, suddenly there's a cute girl flirting with you, and the legislature goes over and he, has a drink with her, and he thinks he's being really charismatic and she's liking him, and he ends up taking her back to the hotel or whatever, and then the next day he wakes up and she's gone, and he doesn't think anything of it. But then later on down the road, they approach him with these photos and say, hey, you remember this night? Oh, yeah, it turns out, yeah, I know that girl had an ID and everything, but she was actually underage, and we're going to release these photos. So they catch the person, and they hold the stuff on them. They don't, when you see these scandals drop, it's not because, they just investigate, on these big people anyway. It's not because, they just investigated them and found this stuff. No, they've been investigating it for a while, and something happened to cause them, because they investigated it to have it to hold over them. When you get into the big, the big leagues.
Yep. Yeah, that's why they don't like people that they can't. It's like, if there was something that, love Trump or hate him, if they had anything legit on the guy, he would already be,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like, they're having to just straight up make up stuff, So, it's like, yeah, if and that's all Epstein was just a blackmail operation, which that list is getting ready to come out.
What I saw is they're not really giving us anything new. From what I saw, they're not giving us anything new. They're unredacting 3 names that were previously redacted, and this is a list that was already out. But they, I all these names are people like
It's like everybody already knows,
but these are people like
you know?
they're either previously released names or they are like cooks, chauffeurs, people who weren't really involved, in all this stuff, or in some cases even victims. And they were releasing some of these names, and a lot of YouTubers were really going out there and making a big to-do about this without really doing their research, and even the news wasn't doing. I mean, Marsha Blackburn, she put out there, and I thought, oh, good job, Marsha, you got it, you got the damn things released, but it's not what we want.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we want.
It's dangerous, and I'll tell you why. Because these are desperate, powerful people who don't want to answer. They're scared, and these people have all kinds of money.
They've never been as threatened as they have now,
though.
Do
anything. Oh yeah, think about they'll do anything. Start wars. They can get us into martial law because of maybe something could happen over there. What I'm seeing possibilities of happening is a sea conflict.
Yeah.
Around Taiwan is what I see happening, and them either sinking an old carrier that we don't need anymore, and then that's going to cause the war, and then we'll have a little slapping match, maybe with China, but then they'll call for, lockdown or martial law or whatever. That honestly is probably the better situation that could happen compared to them releasing something new.
Yeah.
You feel me? Which supposedly they already have. I'm sure you've heard about it too. This like pneumonia type virus that's coming out of China. But and we tried to prevent all that. Remember, and they tried to shut down and stop all the airlines and stuff. And they said that we were like racist against Chinese people. And Nancy Pelosi went out there and was like dancing around like a jaguar, like in the middle of it. Remember when this all first started happening? Remember they did that literally. They went out and had a parade, and it's like, wow, that was very. They showed their true colors. Is all I'm going to say. That's one thing. The whole Trump conflict is what I'm going to refer to it as has done is it's made a lot of people show their true hands. Like Pence was a rat. That dude was like him or hate him. Like I said, he did betray his party and his dude. I wouldn't say I don't even think. Clearly, the Republican Party doesn't even want Trump now. Would you say? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah.
Like dude.
I got a survey from the Republican Party today, and it cracked me up, dude. I was like, they were saying, what do you want the Republicans to do? And it was one of the things it was a bunch of bullshit that nobody even wants. And like, obviously people want the Trump platform or something like it. They know that's what people want, right? But then they put on this platform questionnaire that has none of those things on it. And it has things like keep taxes low. Like, keep taxes low? In what fucking world are you living, Republican GOP, where taxes are low? I mean, even for rich people, the fucking corporate rate's 39% of your money over, like, what is it, over $1 million? You pay 39% of everything you make over $1 million. So,
yeah, or you win the lottery too. That's like, I've always thought that if I ever win the lottery, the first thing I'm doing is having an accountant deduct the tax, so that way I don't wind up like Wesley Snipes,
Yep, definitely a good idea. But yeah, they keep taxes low. My big old butt. But yeah, so in Twitter here, we got the first type of comments here. The top one, it says, it is not a federal issue. The government has a duty to protect our sovereign borders from invaders and foreign invaders. The Tennessee GOP needs to take an example from Governor Abbott and make it criminal, then send out the state troopers to round them up and bust them to the border. Well, Abbott's been doing that for the cameras, but realistically, he's not really been doing anything meaningful there. But this guy Caramel says, wow, I see it, the Constitution really is unclear, and SCOTUS has a history of ruling on the side of the feds since the Civil War. Now, that's where I'm thinking too. But he also says there's another thing I'm thinking. Our state legislators can get with 37 others and pass an amendment that blatantly says if daddy feds fail to protect the borders, we can do it. I say screw that. You're never going to get a federal constitutional amendment passed. Pass a state constitutional amendment. And make the feds fight you in court over it. That's the only way to do it. And you have other states do that. But hopefully they'll want to do something like that if they down in Tennessee. But shoot, I've lost you, Aaron. There we go.
I think a lot of the immigration issue too is that they want to kill off
Yeah.
nationalism for everybody. You know, not
Yeah.
just America. If you don't have nationalism and everybody's just a mishmash, there's no like national. Um, I'm trying to think of
National
a word
cohesion.
that doesn't sound wrong. Yeah, you know, just
Yeah.
pride in your country. You know, like the Olympics. You know, it's like, oh, we want our country to win. You
Yeah.
know, kind of deal. They don't want that because they want one mishmash potluck, if you will, and then it's easy to
Yep.
control. You see what I'm saying? There's no like historical or lineagey pride or anything like that, or well, it's not. Yeah, you know, it's just like history basically. You know, that's the crazy thing too. Say what you want about monuments, whether they be Confederate or whatever the monument is. This is a fact, though, that whenever a country gets invaded, and this is historical, you know, you can research for yourself, you know, but then one of the first things they do when they invade a country is they
Oh
remove
yeah.
all
Tear
the
the flags and
statues.
monuments
They
down.
strip them. They strip the country and strip it of its heritage.
Yeah. So
So, like I said, whether you like that heritage or not, or agree with it, it happened and we can't change it. But what we can do is remember it and learn from it so it doesn't repeat itself. And that's what they don't. That's what they don't
our
want.
people are doing it to ourselves because we were infiltrated years ago. You know, during the the Cold War, the universities were basically taken over by mostly Russians, but I'm sure there was a lot of others in there too. But they really influenced the way that the university think, and now we did that to ourselves. We have been taking down our statues. They're taking down George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. You know, everybody said it was crazy. They started tearing down the Civil War statues, and people said next it'll be Washington and Jefferson. They're like, oh, you're crazy. And like, you bet. You just wait and see. But yeah, they're taking them all down. They took down the Reconciliation statue in Arlington National Cemetery, the monument to reconciliation between the two sides, the Civil War being over, and the North and South deciding to get back together. They took down that fucking monument, y'all. I mean, that wasn't really reported on much, but they just did this like less than a month ago, I'd say, and I don't remember seeing it.
And they changed it at the last second.
I don't remember seeing it on national news, but
I know they took down General Lee's, and like my family was directly. It's just about if you're in this country, you know, a couple generations, then your family was affected by the Civil War. But my grandfather had to die because at my age, he was my age when he died. You know, he had to go fight in the Civil War against his brothers and neighbors. Like I don't want that. You know, so for me, it's the history for me is like is there it hits different because I've researched a lot of it and like I've always been a history nerd. I've never been good at math, but anybody can just learn things about history. But the hard part about history is deciphering what's bull and what's real.
Because it was just like today. You know, there was information warfare going on back then, even even back then. But look, one of the main things that people are really concerned about with with the border being open is some of our, I mean, we may not say they're our actual enemies, but our geopolitical adversaries in China and Russia, the BRICS nations. They formed a whole alliance. If you guys hadn't been noticed, they hadn't really talked. I mean, they've mentioned it in the news and said that BRICS was formed, but they hadn't really talked about how significant that is. These people are trading they're trading oil in something other than the dollar. Do you realize what a big deal that is? That's, we've gone to war over that several times. That's actually where a lot of the...
It's like if you don't,
that's why people want the dollar, because that was the only thing you could buy petroleum with. So that was why the dollar was worth so much. That's why we were able to get off the gold standard, because if you could only purchase, that was the only way we would talk to the rest of the world into getting off the gold standard, into using the petrodollars by, saying... I
wonder why they let the Saudis control it all, though. Even though we have our own oil and everyone's got their own oil, there's something about the Saudis having that control. Have you noticed that too? Like every country's got oil in it over there. And America has our own oil too, but there's just something about like they just let the Saudis control it and make all the money.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? It's like Trump wanted to dig here, and they was like, "Nah, we shut down our own oil." But, a lot of the war is because of all the oil and stuff. But it's like it's like you're talking about right now. It's all about the backed money, the gold, which all got robbed. Wasn't it like in the 70s? Was it Reagan or Nixon or somebody that went? And they're like, "There's no gold there."
Fort Knox. Yeah. Well, look here at all these stories. I just Googled Russian, and this is Google, y'all. So this is not even You know, if you really want to see some of this stuff, all the videos and stuff, search this on Brave browser. Go to like Infowars and search it. Go to X and search it. But Russians and Chinese at Mexican borders. But just look at these. This is Google. This is the sanitized Google results. AP News, Chinese migrants headed towards U.S. border to seek asylum. Growing number of Chinese border crossing. Russian and Chinese migrants from New York Post. Daily Signal, record number of Chinese Russians. Global Initiative, Russian-speaking migrant smugglers on the U.S. southern border. Major influx of Chinese migrants across U.S. India Today, a month ago. Major influx of Chinese migrants across U.S.-Mexico border. All kinds, okay? So this is just pages and pages and pages of Russians and China's are probably our two biggest geopolitical adversaries, just pouring into our border. And not only is the Border Patrol, I'm sorry, if you work for the Border Patrol at this point, I don't know how you can live with yourself. You either have to quit your job or you have to do something different, because you can't just keep saying you're saying I'm just doing my job while you're letting in millions of people, almost all military age men who we have no room for. We can't even take care of ourselves. We have homeless people all over the place. Our country is a disaster, quite frankly, and we're just not any room. That I could tell you, believe me. No, but seriously, it is. It's a disaster. I mean, the idea that we have money and room just to welcome people in and hand them medical treatment, schooling, citizenship for their children, all this stuff is just insane. I don't know. I mean, I'm not even like a conservative dude. I'm just somebody who's, I actually, am ideally, I'm not a statist at all. Ideally, I'm an anarchist, but I also recognize that my freedom to think that pretty much is dependent on the United States of America and me being able to think that way and me having that freedom. So yeah, that's a utopian idea, but well, it's not even that, dude. It's like, I mean, obviously that could be a component of it, and they've said that is their component, but that's not even what I'm talking about. I'm thinking militarily, because there's all kinds of talks of even things like Hamas and Houthi Iranians, and all it's going to take for the American country to get to the United States to get totally locked down again is for one of these cells that we've allowed, dozens or hundreds of them through the border. Who knows? Because haven't been keeping track of it. What if they start doing stuff? The government's going to lock down on us completely. Not to mention,
well, Venezuela emptied their prisons like Cuba did, and there's a huge influx, or there was a huge pocket of Venezuelan, migrants coming over. They're all like men fresh out of prison. They were finding gang tattoos on them and stuff. But the Cuba did the same thing. They're like, look, we can get rid of these people and not have to pay for them in the prisons and just empty our prisons. But in America, they want people in prison because they've incentivized to put you in prison. In America, they make money off of you.
Dude, I'm not even like and I'm against that too. They're like a lot of the same investors in the drug companies are invested in the prison companies, and they've also bought off the legislatures that they are advisors to or lobbyists to the legislatures who write the law that make it where you have to go to prison for 20 years if you get addicted to pills prescribed by your doctor, and then you can't get them anymore, so you feel like you're going to die, so you buy them on the streets, and then you're the one that goes to prison. And then they make money off you being in the prison. So not only make money off you being addicted to their drug, when they put you in prison for it, then they still make more money on it. And maybe they can even get you to do some fucking labor for them too. But
the fentanyl's like a rat bait, I feel like. You know what I'm saying? They put it out to try to thin out the herd, because they know it can kill you.
Well, I mean that too, but I also think it's like a reverse opium wars. Like you go back to the what was it?
It's way more powerful.
1700s there, and to the 1800s, Hong Kong and stuff, where the Chinese were basically taken over by the British through the opium. They would basically corrupt everybody, get all the guards, get all the people on opium, corrupt all the guards. Basically, nobody could do anything because everybody was on opium. Opium was illegal. If you were caught moving or selling or whatever the opium, you had like a death penalty. So nobody was going to tell on anybody. So it allowed basically the Brits to run, basically take over the country by stealth through doing that. And that's basically the same thing that's being done to us in a lot of ways. I mean, not so much.
Well, people are drawing on themselves and they're miserable and they have no money and they're desperate or addicted or, then they're not going to be paying attention to other issues. Yep.
It's a good way to keep you out of the way.
Damn. If we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're not, fixing anything. We're just making it worse on ourselves, on our children, on the future. And it's like they want to divide you. They want to divide us all in any way they can. Whether it's black and white, whether it is straight and gay, whether whatever the issue is, they want us to divide it.
Yep.
You feel me? Because if we're fighting amongst ourselves, we're not fixing anything, and they're just sitting there taking the bag. You feel me? It's makes me sick. It's like when you see the man behind the curtain, it's like a heavy. Once you exit the matrix and you quit, when you realize that it's not this happy Disneyland world where everything's safe, you realize the villains have kind of taken over. It happens throughout history, and it's just the way it is. And it's just scary. It's a scary time. Like seems on the timeline. As history repeats itself, we're right about the pre-phase of like mass war, genocide, and God
historically speaking, we'll say we're screwed. But there's the United States has been an anomaly so far. So maybe it will continue to be an anomaly. We can only hope so. But I think really the only hope for that is to get involved in the state and local level, because you're going to have no totally impact on the federal level. This place it's already gone. So, that's what politics gets the most attention. That's what gets the most attention. Federal politics, president, state reps, senators. Fuck those guys. Yes, it's still important. Yes, you should still vote for it. And yes, you should still pay attention to it. But where you're actually going to be able to make the difference is on the ground in your county and your local. And part of that is voting for who you think somebody is effective. But, even if you're somebody who thinks that they steal these elections, the way that they would have to steal them, if you're right, would be, if you have enough people come out and vote, they won't be able to do it. It can't be too obvious. I know that's hard to believe with how obvious some of these things were.
Well, if they can avoid the election, they're going to any way they can, and anything they can do. These people are not going to let relief.
But
power is a crazy thing, man. And people who want power do not need it, and people who need it don't want it.
You're right about that.
That is a fact.
Well, so in the local economy where you are in the chat, have you seen an increase in illegal immigrants? Or let's say we don't know for sure if anybody's an illegal immigrant, but non-English speaking people who are suddenly showing up are far more likely to be an illegal immigrant than somebody on a visa or somebody on somebody who's a citizen. So and that's the thing, like profiling. Okay, well, like if you're profiling for a Hamas terror group or whatever, if you're looking for an attack from them, who would you look for? Would you bother, groping Granny over that? But they do. But that's the main point basically. Is they turn all these rules that they say are to protect us from outside people, from terrorists, from all the bad guys. They turn them all on us, and they let all the people that want to come in. They let the criminals do whatever they want, and the reason they're doing it is because we let them ultimately. And the reason we let them is because we feel like that there's no way that it's all too big. And if you look at it from, yes, am I going to stop what the feds are doing with all the quote unquote insurrectionists right now. I mean, can you really do anything about that? No, you can't. There's not anything you personally can do about that, and that can make you feel helpless with things like that. But there are things that you can do on a local level. You can talk to your legislature. You can encourage your legislator your state legislatures to say, hey, you know, let's call the feds bluff. Let's make them come out here and say that they are not. If we'll either protect our border in Tennessee, and if we have people illegally using our state's resources, then that gives. And I don't know for anybody going door to door and rounding people up, but if somebody breaks the law, like if somebody's drunk driving and is illegal immigrant, kick them the hell out of here. I'm sorry. No, I mean, I'm not sorry. Too fucking bad.
I wonder if Nashville's getting a lot.
But it's Nashville really is. Yeah, they've been getting a lot of the shipments, but
it is. Nashville's grown so much. Like Austin, Texas, and Nashville have become like the new major.
Yeah, they're becoming the new LAs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see if I can find some of these real quick. You saw that Delta was flying people all over the place. They were like flights full of illegal immigrants. They were just in the over the Christmas holiday.
They're trafficking these kids, and they're not even they don't even check papers on these people. They're just handing kids off to anybody. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be giving one white man 8 brown babies. Like, bro, something ain't right there. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's something.
These people are.
Like, make sure they're not pedophiles who are going to murder and human traffic.
These people.
That's my main issue.
These people are forcing the airlines to board these people without IDs, without medical screenings, without security screenings. They're sending them all over the place. They are, and this is, a lot of people think this is new. This is actually not new, but I will play this video real quick from a gun store owner. Hopefully you can hear this.
Owns a gun shop, and
I can't hear it.
I can't hear it either.
You might have to listen on the playback, Aaron.
my husband owns a gun shop, and he just called me to tell me that the ATF has made updates to their background check policy.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
And effective today, they give an exemption to illegal immigrants to be able to purchase firearms. Now, this strangely coincides with California, New York, and Chicago making it legal for illegals to be police officers. Tell me our government isn't about to pull some shenanigans without telling me our government's
I'm hoping y'all can hear that, but just in case you can't, she's saying
my husband owns a
that
gun
her
shop,
husband owns a
and
gun
he
store,
just called me
and that they are granting exemptions to illegal immigrants to be able to purchase firearms. And they're being able to get on a flight without an ID, which you or I could not do. The whole purpose of this whole system to protect us. That's the whole reason you got to get groped if you go to the airport. It's the whole reason you got to run all your bags through security. It's the whole reason you got to have a passport, an ID. It's why you got to get to the airport 3 hours before your flight leaves.
Well, they literally X-ray
the whole
your
reason that you do that is so that you don't let people who, right, this is what they're telling. We know this is not why, but this is what the reason they tell us is to stop dangerous people, stop suspicious people, stop people who we don't know about, so the rest of us can fly safely. But meanwhile, no ID required for flies. Flying. No IDs required to drive. A lot of times they don't even get arrested. They can get pulled over for a DUI and hit somebody even and get released from jail the next day because there's nothing the court can do to them. And then, so, that's part of the whole birthright citizenship. They say is if somebody's subject to the jurisdiction thereof, the United States. Well, if they're subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, why can't you put them in jail? if you can't put them in jail because they're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, then why are their children citizens if they're just because they're born here? I mean, it's crazy. They're using the law both ways. They're using the laws to benefit people who are not citizens and anybody basically who comes across the border, and to hurt us citizens. So all the stuff they put in place after 9/11 to catch the terrorists is being bypassed for Russians, for Chinese, Cambodians, for Venezuelans, for anybody, Mexicans, El Salvadorians, anybody who wants to come across that border. It's wide open. Not only that, they show up without an ID, they get right on a plane. Guess what else? They can buy a gun. And guess what else? New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, they're talking about having illegal immigrants as police officers. And they were even saying, what are we going to do about these illegal immigrants who can't buy guns because they're not illegal immigrants? Well, or can't buy guns because they're illegal immigrants. Well, actually, they can. And that lady from the gun shop there was posting that, but that's actually not news. That's the first I'd heard it, to be honest. Okay, so I'm not acting like I'm smarter than everybody else, because I'd never heard that either. But yes, indeed. Where'd my? Just see.
If I got caught with a gun in Mexico right now, do you know how long mandatory my sentence would be? 35 years. Mandatory.
Oh, if you got caught with a certain kind of firearm here, who knows what kind of stuff you could do here. But let's look at this post from Chris M. Hall. It's actually might have to post this in, but she's a constitutional attorney down in Florida. She's really good if you ever listen to her. But this is back from 2012 when they revised the Form 4473 that you have to fill out for a background check when you buy a gun from a gun dealer. They made several changes, and one of these things is that they took off the Arab or Middle Eastern box for the race there on the 2012 thing. So it's like kind of like, oh, we don't want to profile anybody, right? So it's like, well, let's be sure we ignore anybody who might come from a terrorist country, or not. You're not single them out anything. Anyway, let's get on down to the. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not showing you this. I'll show you when I find the relevant part here where the illegal immigrants.
It's like common sense, It's like, I honest to God, it's not the issue I have with South Americans at all. They're just coming here to work and to start a life, and they're very family oriented, most of them. And but it's the places where they have dangerous ideologies is where I don't want them. And whether you like it or anybody likes it or not, we've been bombing the piss out of the Middle East for the last few decades, and those people are bad, man. I mean, we have literally probably killed someone that these people know, at least one or two people. And like I said, it's not the citizens of this country that did that. And just that's the main thing that you hope that people.
What's up, Black Ducks? Thank you for joining us.
And that they haven't been radicalized.
Yeah, a lot of Spanish speakers.
But most people don't. Yeah, they don't. That's my thing. And plus that's like our continent. You know what I mean? Like it's like you should take care of the people in your own.
Yeah, your own geographical area.
Well,
look at the.
Like Mexicans are neighbors, so let's help them out.
We can help them out by being good trading partners and upholding our laws and keeping our place in order, and that's the way we can best help them. The Black Ducks, the recent exposure to corruption within the Johnson City PD. We've been all over that story and the Sean Williams story, and I do have to give credit again to WJHL. They've been better on that than they have been other corruption stories. But there was it sounds like they were dirty from the top down, and you and me called that, Aaron, months and months ago when the chief, resigned and all these people took early retirement. We said, they know what's coming. There's this Sean Williams shit is about to blow up, and it was already in the process of blowing up. But I said this thing is going to get big when I saw that. What's up, Spill? Glad to have you with us, babe.
Yeah. Like I said, man. Even other inmates in prison is like not cool. It's like that's a societal line in the sand. Culturally, system. Like I don't know, man. It's just.
Yep.
I don't want to live in a world where that's okay.
Well, and my thing is, even with this gun control ruling here, with them granting exemptions for illegal immigrants, I'm actually not against a non-citizen being able to buy a gun. I'm pretty as anti-gun control as they come, but I'm like, why do they get an exemption from it and I'm a citizen and I don't? Right? It's like we'll make it easier for somebody who could potentially be, we don't know, potentially be an enemy of the United States to acquire a firearm, while making it more difficult for someone who is who is a citizen of the United States to acquire one.
Well, it's like they say, like I said, if I went to Mexico and if I got caught with a gun in Mexico, they would throw me in prison for 35 years, and extort the dog piss out of you. It would not be a good experience, I promise. But in America, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's not. So is it racist because Mexico does that and that's Mexico laws? Do you see what I'm saying? It's not. It's just common sense. It's like you got to have certain rules and regulations to a certain point. But I'm a lot like you, like in a lot of ways. As far as like, I think we should completely end all the big government. Let the states do their thing. But what's going to happen is the states will lose federal funding if they don't do certain things or go a certain way. But if Texas secedes, then they're not going to have to worry about it. They're going to have their own money, their own economy, their own everything.
Well, I love Texas, but I hope they don't. I hope they don't secede yet, because we kind of need it right now, while we still have some, semblance of the United States left.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
I mean, don't get me wrong, I get their sentiment, but yeah, man.
Aren't they like the only state that has the ability to do that?
I mean, they wrote something into their state constitution because they were, their own nation before, but really all our states.
Yeah,
all our states are supposed to be sovereign. I mean, we're basically like a collection of sovereign nations. That's what states even means. Like you say the state of Israel, or.
Well, it brings us united. The word united in the United States is like
freedom.
Is that we are united.
I mean, that's what we're supposed to be united under, is the banner of that freedom is the most important thing. That freedom, that these ideals are the most important thing about, the most sacred thing about being human. And we have formed this government to protect those rights. That's the whole point of it. And it's become quite the contrary now. But yeah, something is definitely brewing. 2024, I don't know what's going on. I mean, we got economic stuff going with the Federal Reserve and the stock markets, and a lot of big bubbles that were should have popped in 2020, but were propped up by all that influx of cash that basically lined the pockets of the richest people in the world by giving everybody, who really needed something, $1,200 or $1,400. Well, guess what? The inflation that you've paid from that has long since used up all your $1,200 or $1,400, whatever the hell it was you got. You've long since paid more in inflation than you got from that. And most of the money, all those trillions of dollars, went overseas. Yes, that's right. PPP loans that will never be repaid, that people just collected billions, and they're not even citizens, so there's no way for them to even recoup it. But if you're a citizen and you got a PPP loan and you filled the form out wrong, you better God believe they're going to put you in prison. But yeah, that's just the way it is in the United States of anarcho-tyranny. But I don't think we need to get used to it. I think we actually need to get mad about it, and mad enough about it to do something about it. So that's what I hope you'll join me in, is just get mad. I probably screw it's too loud for my microphone. But the fucking the show there, the movie Network, he's right about that. I mean, if you don't realize that you're being screwed and get mad enough to do about it, as long as you got your Netflix, he said, just give me my television, my cable television, my steel-belted radio, and I won't say anything. But that's what they're doing. As long as you get your Netflix, as long as you get your McDonald's, as long as we got our video games, we're content.
Well, stuff like we're doing right now as we speak, with this podcast, and like InfoWars, for example, and like these independent people. It's kind of like that, that movie They Live, when they're hiding out in the church, and they've got the record playing, and that's kind of what it's like. I feel like that's what, unfortunately, it's going to come down.
Pirate radio, baby.
If things don't change drastically, yeah. If things don't change drastically, I meant to tell you, Cliff. I saw a guy and he had Sullivan County plates today, but it was like a little Hyundai, little accent, Hyundai accent. But he had a huge antenna on the top for the CB. And I was trying to get up to him to ask him, hey man, does that thing reach back to the Tri-Cities? I was going to try to ask him, but man, that antenna he had on that thing was pretty wild.
Before
to say the least.
We definitely would be good to have some sort of. We said CBs go about 7 miles. You can get 7 miles on a CB radio, portable, pretty handy to have. Definitely, everybody should have one. But you also have.
Need some beer.
If you have a what was the one ham radio that Scanner Food was telling us, with a big enough antenna, you can send and receive up to 140 miles, and you can also, with shortwave, you can broadcast in shortwave and go all the way around the world. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if you have the ability to
ham radios, man. We need to build a network right now, like just like us and the people in the comments and just the people that are here. Just if we could build some kind of a
alternative communication grid,
that way we could. Yeah, that way if the crap hits the fan, they knock that. Because I mean, let me tell you something. Before this next election, this is another thing I really wanted to say and get out. Is that like I can feel it in my gut, and I'm not the only person I think that can feel that they're going to something.
Yeah, Spill just said something's definitely brewing, and I wanted to tell you before we get off tonight, I want to tell you about a dream I had.
Deep in my plums.
But yeah, I can feel it in my plums. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I can feel it down in my plums.
Well, something is brewing. I had a dream last night, and I don't know what it means, and it's probably not related to all this, but it was a dream that had a key in it. I think that I understood while I was asleep, and I had a I don't even want to say it was a dream so much as it was a vision. Before I had a kind of sleep paralysis kind of deal a few months ago, where I was confronting the nature of evil, and I was kind of coming to grips with myself that evil is not something you're ever going to. It's part of the human spirit. It's part of human nature. It's what drives a big part of humanity. It's all our carnal desires, but that's also our survival instincts included in that.
But our response to that is to that evil, like you said, I still deal with all traffic. I get mad, it's cussing and carrying on. But I've actually done a lot better. It takes a lot to get me upset anymore. I've learned to just keep my blood pressure low. I'm coming up on 40 in a couple years. Just a few years off, but it's a lot more peace. I do a lot of meditating and praying and just sitting down and reading the Bible in quiet. And the quietness is good, and it's good. It's it's really good, and there's things in it that a lot of times I will be applied to what I'm going through at that time. But yeah, those visions, man, I have them too, and it's pretty wild, man. Anytime if somebody's watching this in the comments too, there's whole YouTube channels people are doing about these visions, man. These older ladies and stuff. A lot of them are older women, I've noticed, who are having them. But I have them too. But it's just a lot of people right now are having these visions, which is also in the Bible. That's also in Revelations. The prophesies that the young people will have visions.
Well, I had this vision, and it was pretty abstract as far as describing what I saw. But the main idea was that there was an evil entity that was almost like Agent Smith, and it was moving from person to person. It was traveling, and it was you will never rid the world of that evil, but you can fight it within yourself. And it was a really freaky feeling to me, because it kept coming back, and every time that I felt like that it had been vanquished, it would pop up somewhere else, until I kind of realized that it is just part of the experience here. It's part of human nature, and it's part of what pulls us along, and it's part of what holds us back. So we've got the survival instinct, and we've got the human nature, we've got the carnal desires, and we've got the the overindulgence in those, those things that, well, yes, we need to eat to live, but we don't have to be 8,000 pounds. Yes, we have to reproduce to live, but we don't need to, fuck whores every night of the week. All those things are to be kept in balance. But anyway, I had this vision with all this, and I'm just having this kind of distraught feeling as I feel like, this raging inferno is something that we're going to be fighting forever, for our whole lives, for our whole existence here. And it kind of stuck with me in the back of my mind for a while. And I couldn't even really quite, when I had this dream last night, I couldn't quite pull that vision back out of my head. But I knew this is what it was referring to, and it struck me with such a clarity in the dream. But I don't know. I lost the clarity when I woke up. But I'll just tell you the part that I remembered. And in this dream, I don't remember anything else, but have you seen the Rob Zombie Halloween films with Michael Myers as a child? The child Michael Myers was in my dream, and I was talking to him, and I don't know what we were talking about, but he just looks at me, and his face turns like orange and red and glowing underneath him. There's like these sparkling things happen underneath his skin, and he just looks at me and says, "I'm Jesus," and he goes and just like flies away and disappears.
Like a
dude, it was like it was
a negative entity.
It was
they do.
It was like I had this. I don't even know what it meant, but in the dream I had a revelation that was equal parts joy and horror. And I think that it maybe means that in me is always going to be both of those things. It's going to be fucking Michael Myers and Jesus in my soul all the time. And it's going to be a constant battle for the rest of my life. And I dread having to fight that battle to be Jesus instead of Michael Myers. But it's something we all have to do. And I think it's going to become very important in the coming months and years. And
life's a lot easier and happier when you embrace Jesus, for sure. The Jesus side, Hey man, I don't have to tell anybody who knows me, I was pretty rough in my younger years, I was bouncing in bars. I was like a very violent life. I got a metal plate in my head, my nose has been reconstructed, and played a lot of rock and roll and music, and we jammed out, and but you get a peace. There's a peace that only Jesus can give you. But once you learn to embrace that, and all my depression went away. I know it's once you submit all your troubles and stuff, you don't even have to worry. The whole world could be on fire around me, and it's just. It doesn't, it's a peace that God gives you. So if you die, you don't have to worry. That's why I don't even care anymore. Or worry. I shouldn't say. I don't mean I don't care. I just mean I don't really worry about things because that are out of my control. And once you figure out how to do that, life gets a lot smoother. Your blood pressure will go down, and but it's a frequency. You got to get yourself vibrating. Not trying to think so negatively. It's so hard not to get black pilled. I got black pilled for a long time just because of the state of it.
It's easy to do.
It's just like, man, the evil is just trampling everybody. It seems like it's not just us. It's like we're all, it's like a battle, like an energy battle. If you get on that bad frequency, I think if you even think negative thoughts about people, you can give them a weird, crappy energy. I know that sounds crazy, man, but
no,
it's like a mental, spiritual connection people have. It's like they say, if your ears, somebody's talking about you, if your ear itches, or you're gonna get money for palm itches. That's there's some truth to that. You can't see the Wi-Fi, but it's all around us. It's vibrating, and the upside down world, as they say in Stranger Things.
And you might say, well, not being for these migrants is anti what you guys are talking about there. But listen, it's not sustainable. And the thing is, the best thing we can do for these people is to create a trading economy for them to live next to and have their it'll help their country thrive too by overwhelming and crashing our economy and destroying our society. And it's not what it's probably most of these people. That's not what they're coming to do. Okay, most of them probably really are, even though they're all military age men. I mean, it makes sense for a young man to go out and seek his fortune where he knows he can make a lot of money. So you can't blame these guys for doing it. All right, so I'm compassionate to them, but I'm just saying, It's like like the meme video, like he walks up to the guy who's standing out wearing the Biden shirt and says that he's for pro illegal immigration. He says, "Oh, all right, cool. Well, I got these 3 guys here that just came up from Honduras. I picked them up from Home Depot. They need a place to stay. He's like, I'm sure you won't care if they stay with you, right?"
Yeah.
And they're these 3 guys just walk up and like, hey, what's up? And start walking in the house. He's like, yeah, Alejandro's got to take his medicine at 2:00. I'm sure you won't mind taking it. It's like, dude's like, no, I'm not doing that. Like,
Yeah, I know,
okay, so that, I mean, I know it really is the same on the national level. I mean, we really don't have the resources. They're playing accounting games they are Spill. They're absolutely being funded, but they're playing accounting games. They're using accountants and bookkeepers tricks to even keep the country rolling along as it is. So eventually they're going to run out of those tricks, and it's going to be bad for everybody. And the more that they've also said that it's their whole goal is basically to overwhelm the United States, and we can't bring the rest of the world up to the United States standard. That would take too long. So they need to bring the United States down to the rest of the world's standards because they want it homogenous. But yeah, they sure are being funded. But anyway, it's getting late tonight. It's almost 11:30. Aaron, let's get out of here. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to say, we'll touch on one other thing you were saying about the evil thing. The proof that there's evil out here in the world is the fact that look at the technology we have and look at the capabilities we have. They could have already cured hunger. These people wouldn't even have to come to the United States. We could have just helped them grow their own country. You see what I'm saying? Like, help them build their own country so they have their own place. But they just bomb and steal and take everything. It's like terrible. It's like, but they're creating it on purpose because they want a one world thing. Like you said, it is evil. It's just this big, giant thing. But I'm all for helping people. But like you said, the gas station analogy was good. We did our good deed there. You had done your good deeds, but it's a certain point.
I can't help everybody here that asks me for help. I can help 2 or 3 of you,
exactly,
but if people just keep coming up, I can't just keep staying out here.
It's like that but that's how I feel with the immigration thing, and I feel like that's exactly how you kind of feel about it too. It's like help, but there's a line there. You can't help everybody without sinking the whole ship.
Yep. But I think you're right about that. And with that, I want to thank you for joining me tonight, Aaron. Thank everybody in the chat. Spill. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Dalton. Thank you, Black Ducks. Let's see everybody else we had up in there tonight. I appreciate y'all. Definitely, if you have not followed us on X and Rumble, go over there and follow us. Like the video. Share the video with somebody you think might enjoy it, especially if they're local to the Tri-Cities, Tennessee, Southwest Virginia area. Please share this around. Let's get other people involved. Let's have a place where we can all get together and talk about this stuff in an open forum. We got the chat room. We're going to be working in live calling, so we'll get all this in. And we've always got the email at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com. So follow Aaron he's on youtube.com/@Armageddon Hour Podcast. I've got his link in the description. I've got our X link in the description. Aaron is also on X, and we're on Rumble. So go and follow us all those places. Help us out here. Like our videos, share them around. This is, it's going to be a lot easier if we're all together than if we're all alone. When they say divide and conquer, a lot of people think you take that the wrong way. You'll see it in movies all the time. They'll say, "Oh, well, I'll go over here and you go over here, and we'll divide and conquer." No, divide and conquer means they're going to split you up into factions and conquer you one at a time. So let's not let the power divide us into little tiny factions that they can pick off. Let's all get together and have a forum here for the Tri-Cities area.
Things and get along.
Yeah, we don't all have to agree, but let's have an open discussion. By God, I don't.
Exactly. If we can all get along and get stuff done and talk about stuff mutually and respect each other's views.
And we disagree with each other on the podcast all the time. I mean, me and Dustin and Tim, the main 3 guys on it, we argue over shit all the time. We don't think about the same way, and we don't hate each other because of it. Yeah. I don't think Tim's a communist because of
I'm very open-minded, understanding.
Which Tim is, Tim, if you're out there, hope you're doing good, brother. I haven't talked to you in a few days, so maybe you're watching. Hope you're doing good. But everybody be good, and we will see you on Sunday. We're going to be New Year's Eve, so I don't know if the other boys will be here or not. They may not want to party on New Year's Eve, but if they're not, I'll be here to talk to you about Giannis, the two-faced god, of the old January and where all that comes from, and we're actually going to talk about the Julian and Gregorian calendar. So I think that'll be a lot of fun unless Miss Brisket drives me out and pulls me out of the house, which I don't see happening. We usually like a New Year's evening at home. I'll see you then, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. Everybody have a good night. Thank you again.